Hey everybody, welcome back to another tier list. So today, as you can see, we'll be ranking the films of Steven Spielberg, so one of the biggest directors of all time. Sorry I haven't been able to make a video lately, but hopefully I'll be able to jump back in with a few more soon. So yeah, I realized I hadn't done Spielberg yet, so better jump into it. I've seen all of his films except there's like this one at the end here, Something Evil, which is like a TV movie, I think, so I haven't seen that one. But everything else I've pretty much seen from him. So we'll just get straight into it because there's a lot of films to go over. So starting off with one of his best films, Jurassic Park. This is obviously an S tier movie. It's a film I grew up with as a kid. I've always loved dinosaurs. Jurassic Park is the ultimate dinosaur film. Even all the sequels, none of them have come close. It just captures this kind of magic. It's got fantastic characters, fantastic visuals. The way the animatronics worked back in '93 was amazing and still holds up really well. And John Williams' musical score is fantastic here, as with most of Spielberg's films. But yeah, it's just a magical, excellent, fun, adventurous kind of film. And yeah, one of my childhood favorites. So it's definitely S tier. Next up, we have The Sugarland Express. This is an early film of his from the 70s. I wasn't really a fan of it. I've seen it once and have never really felt like watching it again. It's not horrible, but I think it's D tier. Like, it's not really good either. Goldie Hawn is a good actress and I like her, but the film was kind of forgettable. I think it was only like his second film after Duel anyway. So yeah, it was just kind of average. Back into Jurassic Park with The Lost World. This film is a good sequel, however, it doesn't really capture the magic of the first film. It is still a good movie, but it's not a great film by any means. I think it's cool that it focuses on Jeff Goldblum's character, but it just kind of is lacking in a lot of areas that the first one just nailed. I like that it goes a different direction, kind of, and the stuff in the city is pretty cool, but overall it's just an okay film, so I'm going to put it, well, it's better than an average, so I'm going to put it in the B tier. Next up, we have 1941. This is a complete misfire of a film. It's kind of like a slapstick comedy war film. It's so over the top and silly, but it's pretty bad. There's nothing really good about it. I'm going to put it in the F tier. I think it is probably his worst film as a director. It was quite funny watching it because it was just so bad, and thinking that Spielberg made it was just kind of like, what the heck's going on here? But yeah, it was one of those films that's just so bad that it's funny, but not really in a good way. So there's nothing I can really think of that's positive enough to bring it out of the F tier, unfortunately. Next up, we have Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. So this is the second one. Maybe we'll just go in order with those. We'll go to Raiders. So Raiders of the Lost Ark is fantastic. It's another S tier film. Probably even better than Jurassic Park. I think it's a fantastic adventure movie. I know it's my brother's favorite film, or the series is his favorite, and Raiders is my favorite of the original films. It's just fantastic. It's like perfection. The action is awesome. The adventure is really fun and engaging. The music's great. The sequel is a really good film also. It's not quite an S tier, so I'm going to put it in the A tier. I do think it's a great sequel. A lot of people give Temple of Doom crap, but it is a lot darker, grittier, and it still has that same sense of fun and adventure though, so I really love it. And same with The Last Crusade. It's probably better than Temple of Doom, but still not as good as Raiders, so I'm going to have it in the A tier. Yeah, and Sean Connery is great in that film as well, so it's really cool to see him as Indy's dad. It's almost an S tier film, to be honest, like it might be. I'll just keep it in the top of the A for now. Then we have Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which a lot of people rubbish and hate this film. I don't think it's awful. I think it's probably B or C tier. I'll put it in the B tier for now. It's definitely not as good as the original trilogy. The CGI is too overdone. Some of the characters are really annoying, and it just kind of loses the plot in the third act with the aliens and everything. But it's still okay, and I haven't seen the new fifth film yet, but I'm not expecting much from that from what I've heard. But yeah, I'll keep it in the B tier for now. Might drop lower later. Warhorse is next. This film was okay. I've seen it once and I've never really felt like watching it again, but I remember it being good still, so I'm going to drop it in the B tier. Bridge of Spies is a really solid film. I really enjoyed this movie. Saw it in cinemas. I don't know if I've rewatched it since, but I did like it. I think I'll put it in the top of the B tier. Close Encounters of the Third Kind is a classic Spielberg film from the 70s. I also haven't watched this film in a long time, but I do enjoy it. I don't think it's one of his best, but it's probably a B tier film for me, but on the lower end. The Post is okay. It's got Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep, but it's kind of forgettable, so I'll put that in the C tier. Empire of the Sun is a film that is quite popular. I guess it's well known for being Christian Bale's first big acting gig as a kid, and he was good in the film, but I don't really like this movie at all. I don't know why. I watched it once and I've never felt like watching it again. I just didn't like it. His performance was good. There was some good cinematography and things, but to me it's a D tier film. I'm going to put it at the top of the D tier. I know a lot of people will be annoyed about that, but for me personally, I just didn't engage with that film on any kind of emotional level. Next up we have a classic, and that's Jaws. This is one of the best films ever made, I think. I'm going to put that at the top of the S tier. It just goes with all his fun, adventure, action kind of films. It's his earliest best film. It came out in 1975, and I think it was only like his third film, and it still holds up today, being, you know, as old as it is. It's a fantastic movie, and I love watching it. I try to watch it like yearly because it's just, yeah, one of my favorites. Munich is a pretty underrated Spielberg film. Again, I've got it on Blu-ray, but I haven't seen it for a long time, but I do remember really liking it. It's a lot darker than most of the stuff he makes. It's more of like a dramatic thriller film, a spy thriller. I don't know if it's a spy thriller, but it's more of just a dramatic thriller film with some really violent moments as well. But Eric Bana was great in it, and Daniel Craig's in it too. It's a really good movie. I'm actually going to put it in the A tier because I think it's that good. I just haven't gotten around to seeing it again lately. The Terminal, I think, is a pretty underrated comedy. I don't think it's a great film by any means, but I do think it's a solid B tier. I think Tom Hanks is good. I think Catherine Zeta-Jones is good, and their relationship is interesting. And the film's just an enjoyable kind of Sunday afternoon movie where you don't have to think too much, but it's decent enough, I think, to put in the B tier. E.T. is a classic film. I know most people would chuck this one up in the S tier. It's not one of my personal favorites, but it is a great film, so I'm going to put it in the A tier. There's a lot of iconic sequences in the movie. Great musical score by John Williams again. But yeah, for me, it's not quite an S tier film. I do prefer all those other films I have above it over this one, but it's still really good. Lincoln is a film I've only seen once. I didn't connect with it too much. I'm not an American. I don't know that much about Abraham Lincoln, but obviously the performance was incredible from Daniel Day-Lewis, who's always great. I just haven't felt like rewatching this movie again, to be honest. So I'm going to I'll put it in the C tier above The Post, because it is a super long film, and I just was kind of bored through most of it, to be honest. Catch Me If You Can is a great film. It's definitely a solid A tier. I'm going to put that above. I'll put that above Munich as well. Great kind of heist thriller comedy drama film with DiCaprio and Tom Hanks, so two of my favorite actors together, as well as Spielberg and John Williams. So it's a fantastic combination of directors and musicians and actors and everything. And Amy Adams is in the movie too. And yeah, everyone's really on point in that film. Schindler's List is obviously a classic. It's an S tier movie. It's a super dark, super long film, but it does its job really well. It really is affecting and quite an emotional film. Liam Neeson's great. Ray Fiennes is extremely terrifying as the villain, and he's really well cast here. The music's great. The cinematography is top notch. It's like a perfect movie. It's obviously not as rewatchable as, say, these other ones, Jaws, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, because it is such a heavy subject matter and how long it is, but it's still easily an S tier film. The Adventures of Tintin, Secret of the Unicorn. This is a really fun adventure animated film, kind of in the vein of an Indiana Jones adventure, obviously based on the Tintin comics though, and I really like this movie. I'm going to put it in the A tier, and I can't wait to see the sequel. I know that Peter Jackson's supposed to be directing a sequel. It's been a long time since the first movie, but I really can't wait to see it if they eventually get onto that. So yeah, it's a really underrated Spielberg film. I think it deserves to be in the A tier. War of the Worlds is pretty good. I grew up listening to the original record of the story and everything. And so when this film was set in kind of modern times and with Tom Cruise, it just kind of was a bit jarring in that way, because I would really like to see a War of the Worlds film that kind of has that original setting in, say, the 1940s or 30s or 50s, whenever it was set. But still, for what it was, I enjoyed the film, and I'm going to put it in the B tier. Yeah, because I do quite like it for what it is. It's still an enjoyable movie and does the job. The BFG, it's okay. It's probably a B tier or top of the C tier, to be honest. I'll put it at the top of the C tier because it's good. It's a good, fun family kids film. Kind of captures some of the magic of Spielberg's earlier fantasy kids films. But yeah, it's just okay. Like, there's nothing super amazing about it. Hook is a film that I grew up with and I love a lot. Me and my brother love this movie. Everything about it, it's just so joyful and fun. The characters are great. It's a funny movie. It's emotional. The music is fantastic. I'm going to put this in the A tier. I don't think that if I'd not grown up with this film, it would probably be a lot lower, but I have this kind of nostalgia for it. So I really enjoy Hook, and it deserves to be up in the A tier, I think, because it's just, for what it is, it's just such a fun, original kind of take on Peter Pan, as he's an adult now. And it was a really well done film, I think. It was really long, but I still really like Hook, and I think it deserves its spot up there. Next is AI, Artificial Intelligence. This is a good movie. I don't think it's great, though. I think it's a solid B film. Haley Joel Osment and Jude Law are pretty good. There's some really great sequences in the film. I haven't watched it in a long time, though, so I really should get around to watching that one again. Amistad was another one that's just good. I'm going to put that lower in the B tier. I bought that on Blu-ray not too long ago, but I haven't gotten around to rewatching it. But I did remember enjoying it, but just thinking it was kind of like a mid-level Spielberg film. So I'll put it at the bottom of the B. Next up, we have Ready Player One, a more recent film. This is a fun kind of science fiction adventure film with a lot of kind of like nods to 80s and 90s classic movies and video games. So obviously a lot of Spielberg's own films are referenced here, but it's a fun movie and I do enjoy it quite a bit. I think it's a solid B tier film. I'm going to put it, somewhere in... I'll put it up here, up high in the B tier, because I think it's actually quite a good movie. I do enjoy it a fair bit. Next is Always. This is a pretty average kind of movie. I didn't like this movie actually very much. It's just very forgettable, and Spielberg doesn't make too many forgettable movies, but this is definitely one of them. So it's not bad though. It's not an F tier movie, but it's definitely in the D tier. I'll chuck it at the bottom of the D tier, that one. Next up is The Color Purple. Now, this is a fantastically emotional drama film, and this was one of the first Spielberg movies that was actually quite impactful and more than just a fun adventure or family kind of film. Came out in the mid-80s, and I've got it on Blu-ray, but and I like a lot of these, I haven't rewatched them in a long time. It's definitely a high A tier film though, I think. So I'll chuck that up in the A tier up there. Because it's an excellent film. I just have to get around to watching it again. Whoopi Goldberg was great in the movie. I think Oprah was even in it, and Danny Glover. But yeah, it was really cool. Saving Private Ryan is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's definitely up in the S tier. As to where it goes, I'm going to put it up close to, like, this used to be my favorite Spielberg movie, my favorite war movie, favorite Tom Hanks movie. I don't know if it's as rewatchable as, say, Jaws though, or something like that. So I'll put it just behind Jaws because it's an excellent film. It is the best war film I've ever seen, in my opinion. It's super emotional, super well acted. The action is incredible. It's just very emotional and dark as well, and it does everything right. Like, it's a perfect movie. Just one of the best. I love Saving Private Ryan. Minority Report is a really fun science fiction action adventure thriller film. Definitely should be up in the A tier. I'll put that up with Catch Me If You Can. They both came out in the same year, and they're both really great films. And that's another one he did with Tom Cruise. So last but not least, we have Duel. So this is pretty much the first official kind of film that Spielberg made in 1971, I think. I've seen it once and I did enjoy it. I haven't rewatched it since, but for what it was, I enjoyed it. And for it being a first film, it was actually pretty well done. And I do remember having fun with that. So I didn't think it was amazing or anything, but for a first film, it was actually really good. So I'm going to put it in the C tier, probably just around the middle of the C tier there. So as for these bottom two, I think they're just kind of early TV movies or shorts that Spielberg made. I haven't seen them. But as for his theatrical films, we have them all here. Everything up to... Oh, hang on a minute. We don't have his two latest films. Let's see if I can just get these in there. Sorry about that. So West Side Story, these are his two latest films. West Side Story was okay. It was probably a B tier film. I think it was good, but it wasn't super memorable for me. The music was not as catchy as I thought it would be or anything, but it was a good looking movie, and it's Spielberg's only musical film, so there's props for that, definitely. There's good performances, looks great, so it's a solid B tier film, I think, so I'll chuck it in there. I'll put it back here somewhere. And The Fabelmans is a really good film. It's his most recent movie. It's kind of like a self-biopic about his childhood and teenage years. And it's really interesting and really well done. And I enjoyed it quite a bit. And I think it's his best film that he's made in quite a while. So I'm going to put that up in the A tier, but probably just at the bottom of the A tier because it was good. And yeah, I'd like to see more along those lines because he's kind of been, I don't know, making a few C, B tier movies lately, but yeah, The Fabelmans was definitely a solid A. So yes, sorry about that mix up, but that's all of Spielberg's films there now, up to The Fabelmans and dating back to Jewel. So he's got quite a few films, a few S and A and B tier films. They're all really good there. So yeah, you've probably seen all or most of these, so do your rankings down below if you have, or let me know in the comments what your favorites are. And thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon, hopefully, with another video. So thanks, guys. Bye.